New figures out today suggest that the price of petrol is back up towards near record levels.
Now, Lucy Siegel has spent time on a super tanker that has enough crude oil on board that, once refined, could keep your car going for 900 million miles.
In its raw form, crude oil is of little use to us, but once it's refined, it powers our world. When it comes to extracting it, the UK is the largest oil producer in the EU.
Now the thing is, even though the oil might be found in UK waters, we don't actually own it. And the government only has the power to tax the companies who extract it.
Once they've paid their taxes, the oil companies will sell on the open market to the highest bidder.
Now the oil trade always refers to price in terms of a barrel. This is a barrel. It carries enough crude to produce petrol for 900 miles worth of driving, so from London to Vienna. Last year we used 534 million of these in the UK. Around 367 million barrels were produced out of UK waters in the same year. So even if we held on to every drop that we produced, it still wouldn't be enough.
Leaving us having to import around 380 million barrels into the UK just to keep us going. On the open market, it's a question of supply and demand. This means getting the right sort of oil from the platform to the refinery and then onto the countries where it's needed. That's the key to making money. Lots of it.
Keeping oil flowing around the world requires a massive feat of logistics, one that the entire world is dependent on. And that's where these things come in.
This oil tanker has just docked at the Merco refinery at Milford Haven in West Wales with its precious cargo all the way from Liberia. It's around 245 metres in length and its hull is full to the brim with nearly 600,000 barrels of crude oil, more than £38 million worth. 1/5 of all the oil and gas we use in the UK comes in and out of this port and its refineries.
So what will happen to the crude from our tanker?
Well, the priority would be for us to turn that crude into as much diesel as possible and as much kerosene. They're worth the most money. In Europe and the UK at the moment there is an undercapacity of those products.
In the 1970s, as our appetite for oil became supersized, so did our ships. Supertankers have got so big and now carry so much that few of our ports in the UK are deep enough to accommodate them.
So why are these ships so big?
Bigger is definitely cheaper. It all comes down to economies of scale. The numbers of crew members required to man a supertanker are the same as a smaller tanker, so there are cost benefits. We're talking about 200,000 to 300,000 ton ships. When they're moving along at 15, 20 knots, full of oil, it would take at least 15 minutes to stop from full speed, which would take the ship another 2 miles over the ocean.
But these beasts of the sea aren't just oil movers. With fluctuating oil prices around the world, they are sometimes used as oil stores by oil traders. The vessels act as large holding containers out at sea in the hope that the price of oil will go up.
They take a huge gamble on that, but the rewards can be very high. So if, for example, the oil price increased $10 per barrel in a 30-day period, on a supertanker cargo of 2 million barrels, they would make $20 million.
But the pursuit of profit has come at a grave cost. On the 15th of February 1996, disaster struck here at Milford Haven. The tanker, the Sea Empress, hit rocks at the entrance to Milford Haven waterway. 72,000 tonnes of crude oil spilled into the sea. The clean-up operation cost an estimated £60 million. Marine biologist John Moore witnessed the spill.
Black oil all dripping off the rocks, and then you have the smell. Fishing was suspended immediately, more than 5,500 birds killed. There were many other serious effects.
Environmentalists believe that oil spills around the UK have caused the loss of nearly 500,000 birds.
And what is the legacy of the spill? Because it looks quite normal.
Because it's an exposed coastline, very little oil went into Milford Haven sheltered waterway. So most of the oil got bashed up by the waves and got taken away. Within 5 years, scientific studies were finding there was no detectable effects any longer.
Disasters like the one at Milford Haven forced changes to the safety requirements for these tankers.
All ships must now have a double hull, an extra layer of protection against rupture in case they should ever run aground.
But while double hulling has increased safety, it can never eliminate the risk of future pollution at sea. In the short term at least, the tide isn't for turning on this great global energy flow. Worldwide, tankers shift some 2 billion barrels of oil every year, and as long as our addiction continues, ships like these will carry on crossing the world to feed our insatiable appetite for oil.